Might as well get started so we get home. Okay. So is there someone to be heard from the public first? No? Everybody happy?
Well, I guess I would love to hear from the select board about where things stand on the communication from where we last met in September, was it, or September, in January, was it the 22nd?
So that is on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the planning and zoning board discussion, as I think old business.
So make sure we note that down here. X. Okay, did Linda have a report for us?
So Linda's whole report is that the town meeting, the town reports are on their way in to the office by Thursday, I think. And that's all she had for me.
Okay.
We are collecting, I actually have a side note though. We are still collecting resumes and letters of interest for the file clerk position, which is posted on the door and also on our website.
One person had interest, found another job.
The one person we did all the paperwork with found another job. We have 3 more candidates. One is coming in tomorrow to talk with us.
Good, good. Well, keep after that one then. So, Mo wasn't here.
No, I have road updates though.
Yeah, might as well go through those now then.
So Route 36, the bridge project is happening this summer. It came today, we have a grant that was provided to us by the state, by V-Trans. It's the grant that's supposed to be used specifically for maintenance, dust control signs, and enforcement of local weight permits regarding the bypass that they expect people to be using the Chester Arthur Road. And I've made a point on behalf of the select board a couple times that we're concerned about the bridge and the extra traffic that that's gonna carry. This money is not intended to improve the structure. It is intended purely for what it says. And the amount is $19,655, and there will be a 28-day closure. The meeting for that is this week that I can attend if you'd like me to, or if the select board would prefer to do that.
Excuse me, where is that meeting being held?
It is online through Teams, but I can get it set up here if this is something that you're interested in.
Okay. And that's gonna be, the road's definitely gonna be shut completely before the storm.
It says a 28-day closure on Route 36 during the summer. There will be bypasses.
That'll be interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, they're gonna route people around Fairfield, but they're expecting the local roads to get heavy traffic.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking a number of cars go by home first thing in the morning.
Yeah,
That's
it's
gonna be nuts.
hundreds, at least. So,
There'll be a lot less.
if you.
Yeah. I'll sleep out on the porch now or something.
If you want to accept this $19,000, $655 grant, I would need your signatures on this before you leave.
Who came up with this number?
This is V-Trans, and it was just literally a piece of paper they sent to me today.
And
So-
this is all they're willing to give for this?
This is what they're willing to give us, yep.
You have some questions about it now?
So what is it for again?
It's specifically to be used for maintenance, dust control, signs, and enforcement of local weight permits as people are trying to get through Fairfield.
I think we definitely want it because we use it for chloride.
Yeah, it's.
And the signage, they won't do anything with signage, except for, I believe, up in Bakersfield, Sheldon, that kind of stuff. That way they're not liable if somebody does some real
They
stupid
won't
thing.
detour on that?
They won't put a detour and say, go Ryan Road.
We
Go
can,
with
we can say that whatever we want on our sides, but we can't detour them away from our roads.
No, we can detour them, but we can not even put signs up. Like some towns have done it before, simply so that
I see.
they're not liable
Right.
But the weight signs are what you wanna put on, it's like some tractor trailer trucks start going up the Bryan Road.
Right.
You know, heavily loaded, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, some signs right at the ends with Chesterite Arthur too, yeah.
And just figure out what road limits we can, you know, what the bridge is set at now, so. But that's gonna be,
And
I don't think over back
are
way.
they gonna waive some of the permits?
Are they gonna what?
Waive some of the permits, the truck weights or?
I don't think so, not weights on our roads, no.
Okay.
They would expect us to enforce them though, so if we needed somebody, this money could be used for enforcement, you know, for.
$19,000, it's not gonna
I
be
know.
far between chloride
I
signs,
know.
other stuff, it's not a big boost of money.
They're just thinking that people are gonna be using the Chesterite Arthur Road, but.
Once you send that thing, I mean, there's no reason not to accept that.
Right, set that amount,
No, I don't think so.
So if you'd like to
There's
sign.
no matching to it, right?
no,
So, and we have to, I'll have more of a report. If you want to attend that meeting this Thursday, please let me know and I'll set it up in this room. Otherwise, I'll go and get
so
back
do we
to
need to make a motion to accept this?
It would be wise,
What do you make a motion?
Make a motion that we accept
the
the
beach
grant.
room.
We transfer.
Second.
Second it, all in favor?
I,
Yeah, we go.
Let's see. Sorry.
Why don't we just do your whole town administrator's report right now?
Okay.
Out of the way.
So,
we're gonna go
roads.
continue down your.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
okay,
do
good.
road stuff. We have not been attending as a municipality, the Transportation Advisory Committee of Northwest Regional Planning. The appointed person, hasn't been attending and I'm an alternate, but I cannot fit this into a regular meeting, into my schedule. I just want to ask whether or not the select board wants to appoint somebody.
Dave Pearson.
And I just wanted you to discuss. Hi, Dave.
We didn't say you, we said Dave Person. Person.
Yeah, you've been nominated, is there a second?
So,
I think we definitely should ask for a volunteer to, someone who's got an interest in roads.
Chuck?
I was in on that meeting, I was in on that conversation, and it was frustrating, I think, the North East Planning Commission people, that what's not happening is a lot of times it's the road, well, I may be wrong, Kathy, in saying this, but the road commissioner or someone that would be present at those meetings, it's really dropped off dramatically. And unfortunately, they don't even have enough time, they don't know what the problems are in the communities themselves. Because Kathy might be right in saying this, is it the road commissioners or the?
It's appointments,
Yeah.
the select board would appoint a person to serve on that committee.
How often does it meet and so forth?
I believe Monday. If the select board wants me to advertise, then I can do that.
Yeah, I think so.
let's try and see if
I
we can
mean,
get
I was
some.
interested in figuring out what's going wrong, and I wanted to come back here and find out did we have someone appointed to that or not?
The road foreman,
The road,
and Kathy was the alternate.
I'm the alternate.
Okay.
Most played.
Yeah, it meets the
more than full.
second Thursday of the month, 6:30 to 8 o'clock. Yeah, advertise, that'd be great.
The municipal roads grant information, so which roads that we want to work on after July 1st this year or into the beginning of next summer. That grant, those grant applications were released last week, and I am gonna be working with Mo to identify what we want to write those grants for, but I wanna know from the select board whether or not you want me to engage Tyler Billingsley to scope the project. The reason I'm bringing it up is because he will charge a fee. Normally, we've been doing it with V-Trans, they would come out, but they have been silent. The response around getting people to scope out projects from V-Trans has been really awful. So we talked a little bit about this previously, about, trying to get hydraulic studies, trying to get the attention of
In
people.
the past, we've always had them done ahead of time.
Yeah.
Hired Jim Smith.
Right,
Jim
so,
used to we used to get grants. Where other towns wouldn't finish a project or start it, they would call us up pretty much and say, you got something, you got can you come up with 10% to do your end? And we did a lot of jobs that way there, so that we were ahead of the curve on these things. I think it'd be a wise investment, this Billings, because he's basically taking over Jim's job. And he would be ahead of it, and it's a lot easier if you were all set up and then they run, the deadline's coming up and town says, we can't do it. Then I forget how many projects we got that way. So I think it's a good
I
investment.
don't think we need to have 100 of them done ahead of time, but the next
Right, 5
2
or
or
10.
3 or whatever.
Yeah,
that
have
are-
5 or 10 that
There you
are
go.
in a phase, and you put yourself in a lot of.
On a motion, or just
no,
consensus?
I just need, guidance from the select board whether or not.
Yeah, I
we
think
wanna
you
do-
should.
Okay.
I think it's a good way to invest money.
Okay, I'll be updating, this is just a heads up, last year we received $45,000 to do improvements on Pumpkin Village Road, and they granted extensions for those, so I'll be putting in the requisition for that money, soon. And, we'll be working with Mo on, we also received 31,000, or we've been approved for 31,000 for this summer, and I'll be identifying road segments to improve, on the map, the A&R map. Let's see, we've been requested by our district manager, Steve Stanley, to calculate estimated damage, costs from our December floods. So that needs to go to, Kim Kanareki, who's the FEMA, Vermont FEMA community support person. They're still trying to decide whether or not the damage, will result in FEMA intervention, so that's coming up on my plate too. That's it for roads for me. I have more if you wanna keep going.
Might as well get it done with.
Okay. So all the taxes have been paid, federal and state taxes, retirement, we, had a run-in with the social security, website. They needed to, it's getting so hard, so complicated, so the social security created a whole new infrastructure for their online uploading of W-2s. And this is behind the government, we have to get through the government platform, .gov, and then we have to get through the social security platform, but then they're creating this whole new platform for uploading.
Those
Which-
portals, like,
It's like a portal. Yeah, so sam.gov is what I talked to you about last year. Sam.gov is the federal clearinghouse, and that it's kind of inching into all of the departments as a first step. So you have to get through that with all the pins and the security, and then you have to get through the logging into whatever site. And then behind that for social security, they created a new platform that required a 2-week in the mail PIN number. So when I went to upload everything, it was telling me that I'd have to wait 2 weeks. So I went on a little hunt to find out how not to get penalized by the IRS, and had to get into a conversation, which took some time to get into. And we are okay. We're okay. We extended the deadline, and since then have received the number and all as well. But just want to give you that heads up, because with all of the steps in between, I hope that we don't get a letter from the IRS at some point. I don't think we will, but that's where it came from if it comes. So I said this before, we posted the file clerk job, but we also I updated the job description with Linda and Kristen, and included in this, you and I had talked last year about offloading some of the accounts payable work. And I updated this job description to include some of that work, which is I received probably 50 emails with invoices a month, and then print them, file them, and then upload them into our database. So this person would be involved with that process of receiving, uploading. I would still be the person making sure that the accounting is correct, that everything is going to the right budget line, and bringing it to you. But it would be nice to have a team. So, other than that,
It's a
it's,
duplicate too, if you're out or something, somebody else needs to know how to get stuff ready, so
That's true.
those get paid.
I thought so too. Thank you. So, let's see. So I didn't mention this in the email that I sent to you, with my admin report, but I need to, our previous, insurance provider has sent the workman's comp audit request, which is due not this month, by the middle of next month. So I'll be working on that, and, I have signed, with your approval, I've signed and have engaged our new insurance company. The information from them about our policy is coming in the mail, and they'll be sending a link to it, so as soon as that comes, I'll give it to you to look at. But it's all set. I just got an invoice from them today, but I didn't put it in this because it was too late. But you'll see it in the next CP. Let's see. We heard from Consolidated about the 14th of November incident with the telephone poles. And they are going, let's see, the claim, they have an undetermined damage amount claim that came to us by certified mail, which I forwarded to our previous insurance company. And they've opened a claim number. We still don't have the information about what that looks like at this point. And just as a reminder, we didn't damage any of our equipment, and we didn't get none of our road crew was injured during that. It was just a fluke of, I think we're trying to figure out what happened there, so.
I've already suggested the boys that go around and start measuring some of these wires crossing roads from this consolidated group, because there's some of them that aren't 14 feet.
No,
And what they need to identify, picture them, and document them.
Was there any police report to go with that?
There was no police report, there were no pictures taken, it was just, sort of this undocumented incident that took place.
We mentioned some other roads where they thought the wire was low. I said, we need to cover our own butt, and just go out and measure them, document them. Because that was the only road where it could have been low.
they make a pretty simple measure stick for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go out, cut a sapling, mark it, stand it up.
We get,
Do you want me to talk to Mo about that, or do you wanna talk to me?
I'll try to see molds tomorrow or something.
Okay.
But I've been after him, I've mentioned it to him before. You guys need to go out and measure those. Take the time, right now when you don't have a lot of snow, you're doing a lot of work.
It's a good time of year right now.
Good time to go measure them, they don't match that up, and that's part of Consolidated's problem, right? Or Fidium, whatever the hell it calls themselves. Okay, so, I paid the stormwater permit, I drafted the lease for our potential tenant, which is being reviewed by their legal counsel. I did the admin report info to the town report and paid off the 2021 truck this month. I want you to know in terms of the truck CD, the equipment CD, which is funded from the transfer from there's a budget line that has transfer to equipment fund, and there's also equipment fund. Between the last few years, we have a balance at this point of $221,000. The next Freightliner cost was quoted at $193,000. We don't need to make a decision at this time about how we want to fund that, but I just wanted to make sure you knew those two numbers. pretty well use them up, because you've got another $60-something thousand going to that red truck in the body part.
Yep.
And they're bringing that truck to Viking in the next week.
Yeah, Jimmy told me that today.
So,
Sounds like a lot of money, but boy, those prices of those trucks now, just bizarre.
in our next meeting, we're gonna wanna talk about, the select board will wanna discuss how what you want to talk about at town meeting, town meeting talking points. We'll also be getting an update from the Common School group. There's gonna be a recommendation that they've been working, I think they've had 3 meetings at this point. And they'll have a recommendation for the select board at our next meeting. And James Gregoire has agreed to come and talk to us on that meeting as well about state taxes and education taxes and what's happening at the State House.
Are they gonna lower them?
Well, Linda has heard, I don't know if it's gonna happen, but Linda's heard that the education tax may be postponed, which would require a whole other process in the town clerk's office for warning meetings and getting information out. So has a heads up that it may happen just as I think a courtesy to the town clerks, but we'll see.
Okay.
I make
That's
a
it for me.
motion to approve the minutes from
Oh.
22 January.
I do have one.
So someone second that? Any changes, errors, and omissions you wanna bring up this time? Or we adopt it? If there isn't, then motion to accept the minutes as presented. So now motion by vote, yes, no?
Yep.
Alright, everybody in favor? Good. That one's done with.
I do have one more thing. 'Tis the season to appoint a new appoint or approve representatives for the Northwest Communications Union District legislative body. Previously, I've been appointed and Ron has been my, the alternate, and I was just curious if that is still what the select board would like to do.
So you all in favor of that? Leave as is?
Does that work for you?
It works for me.
If it does, yeah. Everybody in favor of leaving as is?
Aye.
No?
Okay, so I'm
We'll
going
leave as
to
is.
need a person serving as chair to sign this. I'm gonna assume that's you. Is it right?
Possibility. And this is just for the person who we're gonna keep it as is.
Yeah. Well, I'll fill in our information.
Okay, so
That's it
next
for me.
down. Minutes, administrative. Do you wanna do visitors at this point?
So we don't have any visitors at this point, and the next item on the agenda, I believe, is our old business. So
Okay,
if we wanna just move on to that, we
then
can move on to that.
on to this planning and zoning. And our last meeting, we were leaving the discussion whether we were going from 5 to 7, right? 9. And we, at the last one, we appointed, getting Alzheimer's here.
Dan Pipes.
Yeah,
Dan Pipes.
Dan Pipes on. So, I guess we're at a point now, how do you wanna continue on this?
I guess I don't have an opinion either way, I mean, 7, fine with me, but.
Yep. I said at the previous meeting, I don't have a problem with
Yeah,
this.
no, I wanna go for 7 too, but I wanna clarify if we have if we can't keep 7 on.
You gotta have a way of reducing the number in the future if we don't have the interest.
Right, what's the protocol for that? Does that affect, a project that's, a quorum or a project that's halfway through it? How does it affect that?
So we've closed the, let's see, so the North Road, I'm just gonna try to wing it with my words here, but the North Road sketch plan has been, that hearing has been closed and decision has been made. The next thing that
The
happens.
church road, you mean the
Church
church
road?
road?
Just the sketch plan,
For the church road.
yes.
Right, but I'm not talking about any in particular, whether
Right,
it's
I
an
understand
hour
what you're saying,
later.
Dave. yeah.
Oh,
But
okay,
even in 6 months, if we lose 2 people.
Or realistically, let's say another year,
Right.
another year, and we,
Well, we can just go back to 5.
but you can go
right?
back, and the board.
That's what I just wanna make sure.
The
Can we
board has
just-
the legal right to reduce numbers if they can't get enough participants.
That's just what I want
That's
to
the way I
confirm, if there's
understand
not
this.
do we have to wait for 2 years and now all of a sudden we have to have
Yeah.
4 of the 5
Right.
that are active, have to vote on it? How does that?
so if you have 7 people on the board, the quorum would be 5. I mean four,
Four.
excuse me.
Yeah.
If you had 9 on, it would be, the quorum would be
Right,
five.
so I come in today and there's 7 people sitting here and I say, here's my project. And in 3 months, when I get to the point where the board is ready to vote on it and there's only 5 members, do 4 have to approve it? Or do
So
3 have to approve it?
if you have a 7-member board, the quorum would be 5, so 5 people would.
Right, but
sorry,
that's what
4,
I'm saying
So 4
is-
would have to approve
How
it.
does it affect that when you,
4 would have to approve it in order to make it pass.
I know what you're saying, though, you're, yeah, down the road.
right, just down the road tonight you
I
say,
think, I
hey,
think the bookmark would, my own opinion, the bookmark would be, what's the status of what has the select board determined the correct number to be? So if it was 7, you gotta have, what, 4? If it's 5, if we came in 2 months from now and said, it's not working out, it's 5, then you're gonna have 3. So I think that answers your question.
right, and that's, I just wanna make sure of that, so we don't come in someday and say, hey, listen, we can barely keep 6 on them, let's go back to 5. And change it, how does that affect that
Right.
petition that's halfway through the process at that point?
Right.
I think it's a fair question, but I think it would be, to
I-
answer it is, if the board voted 5, it would be, those rules would apply going forward.
That's what I would assume, but.
Yeah, I don't.
That's the way I understand it, but.
Yeah, legally, that's true.
So with that in mind, do you wanna take a vote on extending from 5 to 7?
Well, and then we gotta figure out what terms are we talking, is, we put 2 more on, one's for a year, one's for 3 years?
One's for 1, one's for 2, depends how you.
Right, that's what I'm saying, just,
Yeah, I think it would be, I think, I can go get the book. Let me find
Cause the
out.
max is 3, right?
I think it's 2 and 3
2 and
years.
3.
I think that one would be 2 years and one would be 3 years.
Well, let's make sure before we get our,
Yeah, let me go grab it.
if we can.
Do you wanna answer your question before we actually make a?
I'd like to, just cause in the future, whether it's the 4 of us sitting
Yeah, I
here
know.
or somebody else, if,
Yeah,
Well, one thing-
I have no expertise in my.
yeah,
answer.
no, we're just
Right.
discussing
Right.
it, that's.
Steve ought to know, I would think, wouldn't he?
Steve, true. Oh, yeah.
This is there a trigger when you can and can't move to 5, and when you do, how does that affect
Right.
who's in there?
Well, you found out so far, you can only have people involved to the point that have been part of the process to the point.
Right.
So while we're waiting, so they advertised, Vermont League of Cities and Towns and Northwest Regional Planning advertised for a forum tomorrow night at St. Albans City Town Hall, I guess. And Ted Brady, who's the current president, and Catherine Dimitrix, who's the chair of, are hosting it. And it's gonna be for Franklin County, Grand Isle County select boards to share questions or share what's a challenge and what's an opportunity. So I could ask tomorrow night Ted, who I think would know that question about. In addition to maybe we wanna check with council, but I would like to ask if there's any inputs that the board wants to communicate for the
That
forum
meeting.
tomorrow night. You know, challenges and opportunities that would, before we leave, it'd be fun to talk about that.
So you'd have to appoint 1 for 2 years and 1 for 3 years. And then you could decide you could decide whether those terms begin now until the end of this year, which would be, we're on a calendar year for these appointments, then we would have to appoint at the end of this year. Or if you would include, we're at the beginning of the year, so I would suggest that you just do an appointment for 2 years and an appointment for 3 years to begin retroactively January or today. And then they would expire in 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah, the process that's going on at this point on Church Road, these new appointments, what the next phase of this thing, would they be part of that?
They could be part of the next phase as long as they're fully,
In place and seeing,
yeah, they need to read
educated
through
on it.
everything, they have to understand everything, but they can definitely participate if they are ready.
And then Do we want to advertise it? How do we, the other thing want to make sure we're balanced on what we're putting in, not, we have equal opportunity. I'm not
So,
saying there's gonna be a
well-
lot of people jumping.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, you put it out to general public to tell there's 2 more openings.
Yeah.
And again, this should be somewhat of a balance on a given area, you don't want 5 from one area, no one, and 2 from,
Right, and that's why there's 2 and 3 year terms to break up. You don't have
Right.
yeah.
people all in one interest joining at a time.
Well, let's simplify it then, do we wanna go from a 5 to a 7-member board? I guess I'll call a question on that.
And if we can.
I'll make the motion to go from
Guidance from
5 to
council.
7.
Yep.
Need somebody to second it,
Yeah, I'll second it.
and then we'll take a vote on that. So, all in favor, or opposed, or what?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. So, we're all, then, the next point is, we wanna advertise these positions available to these 2 new appointments.
Yep, and so I want you to just keep in mind that there were 2 candidates who are still interested in positions, have been, and were interviewed for the vacancy that was previously open. So,
We're gonna open this up to everybody.
mhm.
That's the way I feel. This time here, so while there's not one area, there's not favoritism, there's anything. It gets open, if people apply, then they're considered.
How long would you like to have that open?
Do the next meeting? or-
Do it the next
To the
meeting.
next meeting?
Yeah,
Okay.
just get an added, let it be known, put it on different forums, and that's how I'd like to see it done.
Yeah, just, I'm not saying there's a lot of people that are gonna jump for it, like anyone else, but
Yeah.
let's give it the option.
So now, we're, just so we're all aware, we're all legally bound to go to 5 to 7. So that's all in place, now it's a process of getting some more people interested, let it be known, and then we'll see
We agree it's gonna be retroactive 2 and 3 years from
January 1st.
January 1st.
whatever the appointment date is.
Yeah, and I think what Gavin, what you really mean to say is just make sure it's advertised.
Advertise so
it's
that no
public.
one
So
can say, well.
Not to say that getting more people interested, we're just advertising.
Advertising, and then it's.
We got 2 great candidates that came forward last meeting.
Yep.
Ron, you weren't here, but, in fairness to them, I think what the board is saying, we wanna be very transparent, very deliberate.
Well, then there's just one area was represented in this whole thing, that's my big thing, I wanna make sure the possibility is there, if you choose to be active in it, you can, so. Okay,
Do you wanna open the conversation to the public for a minute, or? is
sure,
this-
we said we were going to, so let's, some comments that like to be stated or said.
I just wanna rewind back to how we went through this process in November. It was not warned to the public and we didn't put ads in the paper. And I did a little research on when those openings actually were. There was actually an opening all through 2023. When Chuck applied April 11th and was told there was no opening. But we looked back at when one of those openings started and it would have been open all through 2023. But Chuck was told no, there was no opening. It's Aaron Forbes, yeah, if you look back in the town.
Somebody resigned when Chuck took over.
Yeah, but
Harry, go for it.
Yeah, but first Chuck applied in April and Harry wasn't interested in
He was stepping down at that time.
he wasn't interested and Chuck was just told, no, there's no openings, but we went back and we looked at the annual, what's it called,
Appointments.
yeah. And actually, Aaron Forbes' position was open all through 2023.
It's very sad.
And then, the public kind of had some feeling about
Would
it.
could you repeat, because I'm just gonna say personally, I have no knowledge of anything that you just talked, no knowledge.
Yeah.
So just in the interest of someone who might have knowledge, could you repeat what you just said? List of the chairs here, because I can't imagine that this board would allow a vacancy to go for a year. And there was certainly no, if we got a vacancy, we wanna fill it.
Yeah.
But why don't you start over and say what you just said, please?
So I went back and I looked at what do you call it? It's your annual, it's on the website. It's
Town
not
report?
your annual report.
Oh,
If you look back at the annual report from 2020, Aaron Forbes' term is a 2-year term, and it was supposed to be up at the beginning of 2023. And, it's kinda hard to read, you have to look at all three of them in a row, the 2020, there's no 2019 on the website. So when you look at 2020, 21, and 22, it looks like Aaron's position he was appointed in 2020 for a 2-year period, which would have started 1st of 2021 and ended 1st of 2023. So that position was actually open, most of 2023. I mean, who's keeping track of this? I'm not pointing any blame at all.
Well, wait a minute, you are, was there an opening on the board for that period of time?
No, Aaron was there the whole time.
Well, if you go by then we need public clarity on when the terms actually start. Because I think you and I looked at 2020, didn't we? And we saw
Numbers are like
Yeah.
everywhere in my head. right now.
anyway,
It's so
because I
scary.
didn't want to take my own word for it. I really looked around. But my point is that I don't wanna, there's no blame here at all. There's a lot to keep track of, that's for sure.
Wait. There was was there a vacancy for a year? So,
Aaron was here the whole time. He may not have been reappointed at the scheduled date.
Yeah,
But there
it's a
was no
reappointment,
vacancy.
that's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
is a reappointment. If the reappointment for that position looks like it should have been done prior to the beginning of 2023. So sort of inadvertently, we went not.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah, and again, I'm not placing blame at
No, it's
all.
happened before.
That's absolutely,
It's
Yeah.
happened before.
absolutely.
Things aren't brought to the board's attention, and it's happened before.
Yeah,
And as soon as we realize it,
We fix it.
we say, hey, wait a minute here, we gotta start it back at that date for the person.
yeah,
Once we become aware of it, because it's a part-time job,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I guess what I'm saying is.
I guess what I'm saying is, I think to that point, is that I know it's a point where this happened, right? But not only myself, but I know that Tory Crossman, of course, Tory put his name in. And at that point, I was asked, because Harry was thinking about stepping down, I was asked just to say, hey, come just observe, be an alternate. But during that time, there was actually a position that was open. And then you guys voted in November
And
to
no-
then reappoint Aaron and Demetrius for a 2- and 3-year term. So my point being is you had people that did apply, and I'm only making this discussion because you're now asking to advertise something, which is fine. But there should have been at that time, and I don't know who or where, but that's what we're talking about, making sure there was clarity there. So that it was transparent that there was an opening, and whether Aaron or myself or Tory would have been that person sitting in front of you to be asked to be a part of that when you voted in November for those positions.
There was no.
That's all we want to get clarity on. And I know it could be
Right,
easily.
I'm just saying from my previous experiences, when we became aware of something wasn't, and somebody still wanted to stay on that board, had been on it, and it was a clerical error, whatever the heck it was, then we went back and retroacted them to that point. As long as the person still wanted to be actively on those boards.
Is there any meeting minutes of updating that? Seems like I remember doing that.
Yeah, we did it, just not on schedule. So,
And again, I'm not trying to say that it never happened before either, because it has.
oh no, it's
So the
definitely happened before.
Question is, moving forward, how would the select board like to make sure this
Well,
doesn't?
I guess select board, like, make sure we're aware when these board, just what you brought up tonight about the DAC committee, those different ones that this is my estimation, that we're fully aware, hey, you got a bunch of appointments that need to be done on set dates.
So
That's
maybe on
part
this-
of what the calendar that you're building and your position,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where we need help, is
Yeah.
making sure those,
So I could add it to the calendar on the first week of December or the second week of December for appointments that are coming up for the
Yeah,
next.
that are due.
First week.
First week would be
Well,
better.
And then would you also make sure that those vacancies are advertised or not?
Well, if we have my personal thing, if we have a person on the board that actively is an active member and participant in it, then I'd reappoint them unless there was some rationale why we didn't.
right, my only rationale for advertising is we're increasing the size of the board. It's
Right.
as much hey, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, it's a real change.
Right.
Right.
All right.
And my only point for bringing it up is just that in the future, I think now that you have public interest, like Melissa said, let's take advantage of the public
Yeah.
interest here. But make sure you maybe bring it up in November, so you've got time to advertise it and then make a decision.
If you're making
do.
a reappointment, you wouldn't want, just a reappointment.
Well, but if, you won't know unless you ask somebody and they're saying, well, maybe I was thinking about it, so if you do it in
Right,
November.
but two
before
things on the calendar, one in
Yeah.
November,
Right.
you reach out to whoever's due and say, hey, do you wanna be reappointed, are you interested, or should we start looking?
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that.
No, it's,
Yeah, no, it's just good, it's common sense, we should.
Did you say you can do that, you're gonna do it in November? You're
I
gonna-
have a second meeting in November, the select board, I will go to make sure that we know
Good,
who wants to be continuing. And if somebody doesn't want to, you'll know that week, and then we'll be able to open
Good.
the advertisements before the first week in December. And then we'll be able to appoint somebody for the year.
Thanks.
Is there more questions?
No, I just want to make sure, did Ron know that the other people that asked to be on the board, as if they're here tonight, they could, if they want to be?
Yeah.
Yep, Ron didn't know who was that,
Oh, the
two people that were,
The interviews.
that met with the select board last week. I know that Vanessa.
I didn't mean it.
yeah.
Hi, Don.
Don.
Don and I were here. Ron, it's nice to see you. Yeah, I'm glad to, I don't know that we met with the select board so much as we had a very informal conversation where I think they asked, tell us about yourself. I invite Dawn to jump in and join with me. I guess I really want to speak up and say, in the spirit of community, I think we're all here on this journey of 112 people came to the select board in January saying we're concerned about this, about town planning and our town future, and said, hey everyone, we really have some thoughts about this and some feelings. Please expand the board, and we want to be able to talk about this at the March meeting day, town meeting day. And the select board said, we'll agree to put one of these issues on our agenda for March meeting day, but declined to put the other one on with the indication that is an assuaging or a sort of gesture towards that there's tended to be support about increasing the size of the planning commission. And speaking for myself, having sort of followed this journey and been getting more involved in town government over the last year, I don't have the impression at all that the interest in our town's future and planning has to do with speaking for myself, a specific proposal, like one family or one group coming to that planning commission, but an overarching interest in love and care about our town and our town's future. And now, at this point, given where we've been with this petition and the select board, our stalwart leaders here, Gavin and Brian, indicating their agreement to do that or interest in doing the expansion, that this has to do more with building greater public trust and continuing this conversation between the at least 112 people who seem very interested in this, bringing more voices into that conversation and bringing more groundedness, I guess, to the conversation about how do these rules work and what is it that we want and see for our community going forward. So that was my interest in coming into this. I don't know if that all got expressed in the last conversation at that meeting. The other thing I really want to say is I think it's so important to bring different voices in. First and foremost, we don't have a lot of women who participate in town government that we've seen. We certainly have our chair of our planning commission, that's fantastic, but in the words of Justin Trudeau, I think it was, dude, it's 2024. So certainly important to have more people and more people with different backgrounds as well. So.
I agree.
Is there any other comments? And if there isn't,
Chuck?
Oh, I was going back to when I said I wanted to meet with you guys at some point.
yeah,
And just sit down with you, so if you guys want it in the executive session at some point, if that's what you want to do, I'd be glad to more than talk to you about that. Because the majority of the board wasn't here last time, and I just felt it was important I sat down and just told him why I decided to resign from the zoning planning board.
Okay. If there's no other comments this time, we're gonna move along, because I think we do have an executive session.
We
Any
actually
other business, do we have any?
don't have an executive session required on the agenda, but we do have the option of holding an executive session, because it's on the agenda as an option.
Well, then,
I'd like to, in light of a legal issue that involved the town clerk, I'd like to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss a
I will second that.
grievance legal issue.
A second.
And before I do that, you wanna do make a motion to
approve the warrants.
approve the warrants?
Yep, let's do that and get it done with.
I'd make a motion to approve the warrants.
Someone
Is
second it?
it Dave?
Yep.
Yeah, a second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, anyone opposed? If not, the warrants are
And
done.
then I'll make a motion to enter executive session to discuss a legal matter.
Do you want me there or no?
Yeah, I'd like you here, please. Yeah.
On this rent deal agreement, did we ever get any deposit on that yet?
In terms of the lease that we're working on, I drafted the lease last week, I provided it to them, they are having their legal counsel review it, and they'll be getting back to me.
Right, but it's supposed to start February 1st, that's why.
I know, they were very late, I was very late, we've been very late, so it's been a process that we've had to get to.
So that still doesn't answer my question. Did
So-
they sign something, did they send some money to secure it?
So what, at this point, it's with their legal
Attorney.
counsel. And then, once their legal counsel has reviewed it, they will provide it to me.
Okay, just make sure that one keeps moving along.
Yeah.
Seems to have slid.
Is it gonna be retroactive to February?
That's what I'm asking. It should
I
be
can ask.
retroactive February 1st, that was the agreed
It
law
should be,
date.
because that was agreed to.
That's what I was trying to get to.
Okay.
So I guess we're going into executive session.